Welcome back to our channel. Hear me out with D.
And E.
And today we're going to be discussing all things coronation. The big day is tomorrow, in which King Charles III and Camilla, Queen Consort, will be crowned alongside one another.
Don't forget her.
Okay, so I'm going to just right off the bat say that I'm not a fan of Camilla, and I'm going to try to be very unbiased in this video. But we're going to have a couple of videos here this weekend talking about royal drama and the siblings, the princes, and also the biggest royal, non-royal, or non-working royal to make a splash in the last few years, Duchess Meghan. But for today, we are just going to do everything that is related to the coronation. Now, E has a couple of facts. Take it away.
The coronation of the King and the Queen Consort will take place at Westminster Abbey tomorrow, for most of us, May 6, 2023. The service will be conducted by the Archbishop of Canterbury and will reflect the monarch's rule today and look towards the future. This is a whole event for the whole weekend, starting tomorrow with the coronation. On Sunday, there's a coronation concert. I'm sure you've seen a lot of celebrities that are going and performing. There's also a big lunch that would take place. I guess that's their way of mingling with the public.
Sure.
And then on Monday, the 8th, there's the big help out, which encourages people to try to volunteer and join the work being undertaken to support their local areas. So it's a fun-filled event, a lot of drama, a lot of things to do, and I can't wait.
So this is going to be the first coronation for most of us because, as we all know, the last one took place over 70 years ago when then Princess Elizabeth was crowned to become Queen Elizabeth II. And she unfortunately did pass away last year, which is why we are here today, and tomorrow for Charles, her son's coronation. And this has been a long time coming. Charles is the longest serving heir apparent, as the Queen was on the throne for over 70 years. So, again, for a lot of us, this is going to be our very first coronation. I'm excited because I love all things royal, even though, side note, we shouldn't hello imperialism. But that's a whole nother video. Um, Despite that, though, I think the fascination that the public has with the royals obviously comes and goes. I know there's several polls that are, saying people are kind of over the monarchy, people are kind of over having any royals because, I mean, really, what is their purpose at this point, right? We live in democratic societies, republic societies. And
Supposed
so
Democratic and Republican.
supposed, yeah. But again, that's a whole nother video. So, with this situation, you have a lot of people within the UK who are not exactly thrilled, but there's also plenty who still are, and that's really what will make tomorrow an exceptional sort of event. You will have thousands and thousands of people lining the streets, and you'll have millions of people watching. Hello, I'm one of them. And even though for us it'll be super early in the morning, I think it'll still be an interesting event to really witness for, at least in my lifetime, our lifetime, a first time. So, how do we feel about this all happening right now?
I think it's an exciting event. I actually wish I was in London, partaking
Yeah.
and, enjoying all that. I feel like that's like the New Year's Eve party of London. Like you mentioned, it's been over 70 years when Queen Elizabeth was crowned and things like that. So I think it's, a moment in history. I mean, a lot of us don't agree with Charles and some of the people of the royal family, and there's a lot of discussions where people do not want to pledge their allegiance to the realm because of some members of the
The family.
establishment, let's say, and the things that they've done. But I can't wait to see the drama.
I obviously, yes, for sure, will be a lot of drama. No matter which way you slice it, there will be drama. But there will also be a lot of pageantry, a lot of pomp, a lot of just, regalness that a lot of us aren't used to, because it's not something that we have here in America. So we don't normally see things like that. And so that'll be a very interesting event to really witness and to take in our own way part of, because again, this has not happened in over 70 years. And just as a side note, I think that for a lot of people, Queen Elizabeth was, or should have been the last monarch of Britain, mainly because she was revered, she was loved, she was well respected. Um, and unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily translate to her heir, which is Charles. And that's kind of been why we've had these surveys, pollings, and stuff like that, basically showing that some people, probably half of their realm, isn't exactly thrilled about all of this. But either way, you will have, like I said, tons of people out there, including dignitaries. So who will we be seeing tomorrow?
So from the British royal family, that's going to be exciting there.
Exciting.
Of course, Prince William, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and their children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, Princess Anne, and her husband, Prince Edward, Prince Andrew,
Ooh, nice.
Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugene, and, a whole list of, basically their whole family. Harry will be there without
Oh yeah.
crew, without his crew, but I think it's great. Other people might not agree. I think that it is an event for Charles and for Britain. I don't think they should be really focused on Meghan and, all the drama that comes with that. Some foreign royals that'll be there, Prince Albert and Princess Charlene of Monaco. We have representatives from Japan, Denmark, Sweden, King Felipe and Queen Letizia of Spain. We have Norway representing, Luxembourg, Greece, Netherlands. Dr. Joe Biden will be there, Belgium, Bhutan, Thailand, whole bunch of people. There's Camilla's family also.
Ooh,
That's all we're gonna say.
yeah.
Um, can you tell we're not fans of Camilla here? Princess Diana represent. There's gonna be a whole bunch of UK
Any of that.
leaders, UK leaders, British prime ministers and peers, celebrities. So it's a lot of people, a lot
Oh
of.
yeah. I believe the guest list is at 2,000 people that'll be there. And a lot of people have already arrived today. There have been, I think there was a walkabout where Charles, William, and Catherine were out greeting people, well wishers, and everything. They also, I believe, yesterday had a gathering, a garden party, where you saw Lionel Richie and a couple of other celebs out there with Charles and his wife. Um, so things have already kicked off. Rehearsals have already happened. I'm sure there's still probably a few more things going on. Although at this time, probably not. We are already hitting the evening hours here in the US. So I'm sure that um, all the people that'll be there will also be very interested in everything going on. And just to go back a bit, so Prince Harry, as we said, will be there. And that's also a video that we have coming for this weekend, because we will kind of touch on the situation between Harry and William and what's been going on with the brothers all these years, because it isn't something that just started, recently. But basically, I think a lot of the public will have their eyes on Harry, which is a little bit unfortunate because it does take away from his father's big day. Um, but at the same time, it was important for him to be there, not only as his son, but also fifth in line. He's a counselor of the state. So it is imperative for him to be there, despite everything that's going to probably come out of the situation. You will have plenty of headlines concerning all of that. And we're back. So I had some technical difficulties with my lighting, and yeah, I don't want to be all dark. So anyway, that's been resolved. What we were gonna go into is just a couple of the, I guess, background details of how we got to this point. Obviously, as we discussed earlier, Queen Elizabeth did pass away last year, and automatically Charles became king because of that. However, here is something that I think is very interesting, because it set in motion everything that's happened within the last, what, like 80, 90 years, was the abdication of Queen Elizabeth's uncle from the throne, Edward VIII, and how that pretty much really did set into motion everything that we're seeing and everything that's going to happen tomorrow. So, a long, long time ago, and I'm not even going to say when, but somewhere in the early 1900s, um, Edward VIII abdicated the throne so that he can marry, be with the woman that he loved, which was Wallis Simpson. And that was not exactly something that the country was going to abide by. She was a American divorcee. Not familiar. And so that caused a lot of drama. So he abdicated. His abdication then led to his brother, Queen Elizabeth's father, becoming king. Now, that completely changes the whole line of succession in that now this family is who will be taking over. And after Queen Elizabeth's father passed away in the 50s, she did take over and became the longest reigning British monarch in history. And, well, she gave birth to Charles. And Charles is who we now have as, or I'm sorry, England, the UK has as king. I said we, and there's no we in that because we're American and we don't have any royalty here. Sorry. So, the situation I think that has been interesting with all of this is just that Charles has been waiting for a long time to be king. He has said in the past that he wants to have a slimmed down monarchy, having less royals on the taxpayers, payroll basically. And we've seen some of that by the fact that, there's certain people who aren't working royals anymore, not just his son and his son's wife, who, on their own decided to walk away, but also his brother, Andrew, who he has stripped of any kind of role in the coronation. But you're going to see, supposedly, this more cohesive and slimmed down version of the monarchy that is supposed to, I guess, get with the times. That is something that Charles has been working towards for a very, very long time, and now he finally gets like his chance to do that. Um, but I think that a lot of what tomorrow is supposed to be has been overshadowed by a lot of the royal drama, a lot of the issues that have happened in the family, because as most of us know, many, many years, there wasn't anything you would hear about the royal family because Queen Elizabeth was running things, and well, I think she kind of ran a tight ship. And
Well,
so
the
now,
last drama that we know of
oh,
was the
well,
Princess Di
yeah,
situation, and we know how all that happened in the late 90s. So I
yeah,
think that the Harry Meghan debacle drama, what do we call it?
drama.
Spectacle drama, is very reminiscent of Princess Di and Charles, Camilla playing a role in that, and how she's all of a sudden a queen consort now. Queen Elizabeth changing some of the royal rules for her to become a royal consort, and how people, feel about that. So it's almost kind of like history is playing itself over with a
Oh
lot of the
yeah,
things that are happening.
yeah. It is a very interesting way in which this family has kind of repeated itself, because one of the reasons why Elizabeth, it is reported, allegedly, that she stayed on the throne for so long, didn't retire, didn't, abdicate and give it to Charles, is because she was so hurt and affected by her uncle's abdication. And so she didn't want to put her family through that. She wanted to carry out her duties to the very end, as she did. And that's why Charles didn't become king for a long time. But in that whole process, in the lead up to what tomorrow is supposed to be, Charles had a lot of missteps that made people not really too fond of him, including, and most importantly, I think in a lot of people's memories, the situation with Princess Diana, his first wife. Um, to my recollection, there hasn't been a second wife that's been crowned alongside the king before, but I could be wrong on that. Camilla is Charles' second wife, who he married in 2005 after getting the queen's blessing. Now, speculation is that that blessing was only conceded because an agreement was made that Camilla would never be queen or queen consort. She was just going to be princess consort. Here we are, May 6th, tomorrow, 2023, and Camilla's getting crowned alongside Charles. A lot of people have their ideas about that. And I know for me, it's not something I care for because, again, this is not what the queen had wished for. And this is just all very, very odd. But yeah, it all goes back to Charles's first marriage and the fact that Princess Diana was the people's princess and everybody around the world loved her. And her untimely death really marked a lot of people's lives, including her children. And seeing now how things have turned out, it is very weird. Like, I mean, we were in elementary school when she passed away. I think all we knew was Diana, and then we knew Diana and her kids. And so it's like we've all grown up with these kids and seeing the situation that's going on with them now, it's pretty sad. And then also knowing that the woman that kind of caused them a lot of pain is going to be crowned tomorrow alongside their father. That was a little weird for me.
Well, I remember there was like an interview that Princess Diana did where the reporter asked, "Do you think you'll ever be queen?" And she
Mm.
says, "They don't want me to be queen because
Oh,
I don't follow the norms. I don't follow, the things that they do. I want the people to love me. I don't really care about the establishment, I guess, loving me." And I think that's what resonated with so many people was all her charitable work. She, she was very involved with, advocating for, I don't know if the word's advocating. What's the word?
yeah, she did advocate for
She,
a lot of
she's, she,
different
yeah, she spoke a lot
charities.
about, HIV. We saw a lot of highlights about the poverty, in regards to the poverty in Africa, and children and things like that. And at the same time, or yeah, in the same time, it was Mother Teresa was also very I
Yeah,
want to say popular. So,
right.
you kind of see like all this charity work from the church and let's say call them the state. And Princess Diana just really going out there and doing these things. So now I feel that all these charity sponsored events from the establishment is kind of forced. It doesn't feel like, you know, the Princess Diana vibes, that it was, a little more genuine and things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what Camilla does with her newly founded role as Queen Consort.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll be paying attention to her, to be honest. And I know how petty that sounds. I know. Hear me out though. I just don't think that I can see her as someone other than what Harry has pointed out as, kind of the evil stepmother sort of trope. And I know that that's silly and that's their family business and all that. But it's just it will be interesting to see how the public kind of handles all these things because there is, like I mentioned earlier, a momentum going on for the anti-monarchy movement, and there are plenty of people who don't believe that this should really keep going on. They serve no real purpose as far as, power wise.
I think it's nice. It's a tradition. It's
It
like,
is.
I like all the pompous, all the ostentatiousness of stuff sometimes. And it's not hurting anyone. They're really not governing.
It's hurting the British people who are having to pay the taxes. Uh,
Well, I mean, besides that, I think that if they
besides,
do want to be, if they want the monarchy to still exist, I think they should fund it. I don't think that the people should, especially given current times with inflation
inflation,
and you
yeah,
know,
and that's, I think, what I feel is probably something that isn't um talked about as much, because yes, of course, like I mentioned, we're both excited for tomorrow. We're both excited to see that. We've never witnessed a coronation, but we can't talk about this coronation without talking about the reality that many people are living through, not just in England, but all over the UK and their Commonwealth countries that are having to deal with this post pandemic world where inflation is skyrocketing everywhere, including America. And at the end of the day, people aren't interested in footing the bill for these ostentatious and over the top events because the coronation is going to be costing taxpayers. They have not released how much just yet. But all of this, it does kind of leave a sour taste in people's mouths because it's too much, considering that just last year they had the what was it, the platinum jubilee for Elizabeth, I think last summer before she passed away,
mm,
which was also a large event that they did so much for, which rightly so. I mean, Elizabeth deserves everything, or she did, RIP. But now it's a little different. Times are different, and I want to say that that's something the monarchy really needs to kind of pay attention to. I read an article where Princess Anne was just kind of, you know, not really
hugging.
paying attention to the noise. So the article that I was reading, where Princess Anne gave an interview, they asked her about the fact that there's a lack of desire for a monarchy, and she kind of brushed it away. And I don't know. I think that, like, I think there should be some real conversations about that, because how do you really make this antiquated institution, the firm, into a modern day entity that will benefit the people? Because, I mean, supposedly, with tomorrow's coronation, it's going to bring in tons and tons of money to England because of tourism, because of, all the stuff that will be purchased out there and in the shops, the local places. And sure, that's great, but it's a one day, one weekend thing. We're still dealing with a lot of the issues from the pandemic, post pandemic life. So how does it really balance out to have such an ostentatious, such an over the top event as coronation that has not been seen in decades, where you're going to have these elaborate robes, these crowns with diamonds and all these things in them, and having, a pledge of loyalty that Prince William is going to be doing, by the way, the
Hmm.
kneeling in front of his father, pledging his loyalty, being limb, arm and limb, or something like that um of the king. Like, all these things that just seem very antiquated. Like, I can understand how in today's modern society, 2023, these things aren't exactly like feeling all that necessary. And I do understand that, like, they have tons of charitable work. But like you said, it doesn't give off like that same like PR vibe like Diana did. It's very different. And I think, and we'll probably talk about this in the other video, but um Harry and Meghan kind of had that. Like, they kind of had a little bit of that vibe, and they could have done like great PR for the firm if things had worked out a little differently. But you know, this is not, I think, what Charles envisioned as his like first year of reign. when he probably thought of, him being king several years ago. But here we are. You have tons of people that aren't really all that interested in the monarchy.
Nah, I guess spending, billions of dollars is a little tone deaf. But
Yeah, just the fact.
that, but I think it is going to bring about, I think I read like $1.7 billion
Oh, okay.
this weekend alone. So anything, I mean, if anything, it's funding this whole event. But for anybody that doesn't know, the royal family is worth, I don't know, probably like more than $1 billion, I want to say. I
Yeah.
can't remember right now. So I think they have ample money and ample resources,
Yeah.
to host these events. And yeah, I guess I kind of agree with you. How do we make it a little more modern,
Hmm.
um, for the people? The establishment does remind us of colonization. Um, and
Imperialism.
there's pains in that,
Hmm.
um, for a lot of people. So there's a lot of people that are, I guess, like seceding, such as Barbados,
Hmm.
and a lot of other island nations and other nations want to, follow suit.
Yeah.
So I think that's great, for them, but I don't think the monarchy or monarchies around the world, that's something that's going to end, despite of what people feel.
You think it will go on for like years and years to come still? Well, I mean,
Power
yeah,
corrupts,
it sure does.
and
So
absolute power corrupts.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So just a few other little factoids about tomorrow. You're going to see, like I just mentioned, Prince William is going to be doing Pledge of Fealty and all that. But you're also going to be seeing the second in line to the throne, which is Prince George, Prince William, and Princess Catherine's son. He's going to be playing a role as one of Charles's pages of honor. Um, and there is also some commotion about that because he is, I believe, 9 years old, and this is going to be a big thing, considering he's second in line. This could potentially be a catalyst for what the rest of his life is going to be. I mean, I think William and Catherine have tried to do the best that they can to give them a semi pseudo normal life, but I mean, what kid do you know that goes to a coronation? I'm just saying.
Well, funny you say that. I saw some article that said, I'm looking for it really quick. Uh, I can't find it.
Of course.
Just
What
forget
you need
it.
to find.
But I think, as soon as Queen Elizabeth was crowned, he was just 3 years old. So it's funny
Oh,
to,
Charles, yeah.
yeah, Charles was, or
Yeah.
King Charles,
Oh, King
in
Charles the
King,
third.
not ours. But yeah, he was just 3 years old, so it's going to be interesting seeing, Prince, which one is it? George?
Prince George.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of kids.
I know, right? Right?
Prince George playing a role during this coronation. And technically he's seeing his grandfather, and we'll see his father and his own, hopefully.
Yeah. And that's, I think, it's a very, very grand thing. I mean, yeah, Charles, I believe, was like 3 or 4. So he probably doesn't have, the greatest recollection of all that. So George will be able to kind of, take all of this in and just obviously kid like, surprise and awe and all that. But he'll basically be moving towards what the rest of his life will be. Sort of how it was for William, because William was second in line for a very long time as well. And now he's first in line, and now here's George. So, also, Camilla, back to Camilla. She has, I believe, 3 of her grandkids that are going to also be pages of honor. I'm not sure if it's for her or for King Charles, but either way, they are taking part in this, which is interesting because I don't know that they've had non-royals, kind of taking part in things like this. But Camilla was a regular woman before who like was married and had kids and was basically a mom, a grandma, and or maybe she became a grandma after Charles, I'm not sure. But she's now becoming queen consort. Another tidbit about that, she was given the blessing by Queen Elizabeth to become queen consort. But as we've recently found out, Charles, or Palace, has issued a royal warrant that she will be henceforth after coronation known as Queen Camilla. And I have avoided saying that for a very, very long time. I'm not going to go too deep into how I feel about her, but um, yeah, it is going to be pretty weird, I think, and interesting to see her there alongside Charles with the crown and all that.
I think it's weird just because we had Prince Philip for all these years. They were married for how long?
Yeah,
70,
they
80
were.
plus years.
Yeah, they were married for a
And,
very long time.
the queen didn't change the rules for her man. So
No,
I feel
she.
kind of salty about that, to be honest. Um,
Yeah, I think that was something else that I kind of like didn't appreciate.
yeah.
Granted, this ain't my family, this ain't my business, but still, I did feel a little bit salty about that because, like there was issues in the past about rumors that Prince Philip did want to be given, a king title. But I believe it's a part of their rules or laws or policies, I don't know. That if it's a female queen, bloodline queen, that the husband will only be, prince consort. So I can understand Camilla being queen consort based on those laws. Not that I agree with it, because that was supposed to be Diana, but that's another story. However, the fact that now there's this edict to make her just Queen Camilla is a little weird. I mean, Queen Elizabeth hasn't even been gone a year. Um, so yeah, I don't know, and that's going to be something I think that some people may feel a type of way about as well. Like I don't know, it's odd. It's
Well,
all
I'm surprised that Camilla would want a title like that. When Princess Diana died, she didn't become the Princess of Wales. She became the Duchess of Cornwall,
well.
out of respect for
Technically,
Diana.
she did become the Princess of Wales. She just didn't get styled as Princess of Wales
True.
because out of respect. Mind
So
you,
why
she didn't
not
respect
out of
her whenever
respect?
they were married, but that's a whole nother thing.
So why not out of respect for the queen, just remain queen consort?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I really don't understand what the rush was in getting her to be styled as just queen. That's a very odd thing. Um, but Charles, as many royal watchers have known, is someone who has done things his own way, and he feels like Camilla is a non-starter. Like that is his person, and he ride or dies for her.
Mhm.
And
If he
this
likes it, I love it.
this is the culmination.
Yep.
Literally, you cannot top getting her crowned with you. I mean, what what can a man do for you now? Like I
Mhm.
don't know. So, in that sense, like, okay, great, like you got what you wanted, but I don't know. I don't know if that's just going to create more issues, you know, with the family especially. Although now that he's king, I feel there's going to be a little bit more reverence given to him because of that. Uh, and I mean, the queen, I think, Elizabeth, was kind of what really held things together and kept things at bay. Obviously, as we've seen, things have kind of gone downhill, a lot of drama, a lot of issues. But tomorrow should hopefully be a joyous, momentous occasion and, exciting to watch. But I think I'm more excited to see what happens after the fact.
Well, people are already showing out. I don't know if you saw, I don't know if it was in front of Westminster Abbey or someplace where they drew a giant phallic symbol um
No.
in the grass, you know.
People, it is not that serious.
So, pointing towards, whatever building it was. So, people are showing that, some are not in agreeance
Clearly.
um to
Clearly.
what's gonna happen tomorrow. So
Yeah, there's a group. I think they're called the Republic. Don't quote me on that. But they have about 1,000 people. Or
B613,
what? No,
B613.
no, but shout out to Scandal. I love that show. Um, no, they basically are an anti-monarchist organization. They're gonna have about 1,000 people line the streets shouting "Not my king" at Charles during the procession. Now, will they be heard? I don't know. Can you really hear 1,000 over thousands and thousands of people who are going to be cheering and screaming? Probably not. There's going to be a lot of security. Just this past week, there was an issue outside of Buckingham Palace where someone tossed, what was it, like show casings or something like that over
No,
the fence. Yeah. And like, it had to be, they had to do like a control explosion just to like, make sure everything was okay with that. But I mean, people are kind of crazy. We know that. And this coronation is no different in the terms of like people's behaviors or things that they're not in agreement with. And this is something that unfortunately some people aren't in agreement with. So anyway, I'm excited still to see what's gonna happen tomorrow. I'm gonna need lots of coffee, but I will be happily watching. And most likely, we will probably have another video just letting you guys know what all went down.
I can't wait.
Should be good. So, this is us signing off on this royal coronation video. But we'll be back with royal drama because that's what you guys really want. Let's be real.
That's what I want.
Oh, goodbye.
See ya.